y'all. Welcome. This is Life Talk. This is the show where everyday life meets faith. And we are your hosts. I am Angela.
And I'm Juamona.
All right. How are you,
Hey,
girl?
I'm doing good, girl.
Are
You cute today.
Girl.
Okay. Shoot, they not ready.
They not ready. They not ready.
Mm-mm.
All right, let's pull it together. Let's
Okay.
do. All right. So we are here. This is serious.
Yes.
All right. No. Okay, we are here. We are excited about this show. Are you
Yes.
excited?
I'm excited.
I'm excited. I think I've
Yes.
gotten over the nervousness a bit, so I've crossed into the excitement now.
I'm
Okay,
excited.
I'm ready. So we are here to talk about this show where everyday life meets faith. And so as we define what it means about life, we define that here in this show, that life means to breathe, but it also means to live an existence, to have a state of being where we are actually living. So we're talking about living out life. And then faith, we're talking about where we have a confidence, right? We believe and we have confidence in someone, particularly here where we're talking about faith, we're meaning our faith in God. But this is just talking about living, having life where we're living it out every day, right?
Right.
How do you feel about
yeah,
that?
living, not just existing. So
Yeah.
living with a
Living.
purpose.
With
not
a
just
purpose.
Not just being, but living.
But living, absolutely. So there's so many people that are breathing. We wake up every day, but we're not really living.
Yes.
And so we want to talk about those types of subjects where everyday believers are faced with life and life circumstances and things that go on daily that sometimes seems to take our breath away. And so we want to talk about those spaces in between where life sometimes conflicts with our faith, and sometimes faith seems to conflict with life, right?
And that's just a normal part of life. We will experience things that will take us off guard.
Yeah.
So sometimes, from our background being in the church, we feel like we should always be ready, but sometimes we're taken off guard. So it's important to know that that's normal and it's okay.
That is normal. And that's the space that we want to meet you at. We want to meet you at those points, those spaces in life where sometimes, you feel that moment where you're taken aback. And sometimes you're trying to catch your breath with it without you believing that faith is lost, right? Or there's nothing to believe in. And so this is where we want to speak to you about so we can navigate through these ups and downs and roller coasters and spins and turns called life, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, I'm excited because I get to host this show with you.
Yes, I'm excited.
We found out that we are real girlfriends,
Yeah,
y'all.
we
We found that out because sometimes in church or in the Christian type of community, sometimes we find out that we're peers, we're associates in ministry. We do ministry and such together. But when you can find a friend, somebody that you enjoy doing
Just
life
talking
with,
to.
just talking,
Just
to.
having normal conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
Not
And we
this
can
is in
laugh
thousands
and we can joke, right? And
Everything ain't churchy.
Come
and
on.
We ain't talking about the devil all day.
all
and
day.
I'm
right?
sorry, y'all, for the people
Look.
that, but that's just who I am.
But everyday life. So
Yes.
we are really, excited. I was so
Yes.
glad that we decided to do this together. So we want to go on and we're going to be talking about some things. I'm excited about some of the topics that we're going to be talking
Yes,
about.
me too.
Some of the people. We're going to be inviting some of you to come on here and join us as guests, some co-hosts that we want to come up here and do some shows and everything with us. So we're excited about it. It's going to be really good. So we want you guys to watch and stay tuned with all the subjects that we're going to be bringing up and some of those suggestions that's going to come from you as well. So we're excited about that.
Yes, we are.
All right. So let's talk. Okay. So we're gonna talk about how we got here, kind of our story, because we don't want to just point the fingers or just talk about or where other people are. We're going to be transparent and tell our journey as well, and so that will have an opportunity, hopefully, that it will help somebody so that others will be able to look. Because sometimes people look at you and they don't believe that you've gone through anything.
Right.
They don't believe you struggle with anything.
Well, a lot of times we pretend like we didn't go through
Now
things
you
and we
already
didn't
started.
struggle.
You already started.
So I'm starting
You
already.
starting trouble
Yeah,
already.
so
But
that's part of the problem. So
that is
yeah.
part of the problem,
Yeah.
and I really hope that we can show transparency that
Yes.
no matter who you are, no matter what title, position, or role that you walk in, we all have life.
We do.
We all
We
have
do.
life.
And we all mess up
We all mess
a
up.
lot.
Yes, and we are all in
Yes.
this trusting and believing and putting our confidence in God, but we all get shaken.
Yeah.
You know, we all get shaken at times. And so we're going to start out just kind of telling a bit about our story.
All right, you want me to go first? I see
Yes,
you looking. Okay.
you go ahead.
So let me, my name is Juamona. I grew up on the south side of Chicago, what they would call the Wild Hundreds.
Oh.
And there was a reason why they called it the Wild Hundreds, but that's not
okay.
what this is about. So I grew up on the south side, single mom. My mom was a single mom, had 2 brothers and a twin sister. We grew up in a neighborhood where, of course, there was a lot of gang activity, violence, things going on. But it seemed not to touch us. It seemed not to touch us. I remember I didn't grow up in a household that was like considered, your mom as a church mom, where you grew up in, I didn't grow up in church that way. But oddly enough, at about 11 or 12, my mother made my sister and I get up and go to church. And that was like, to me, the worst day of my life. Because I was like, how she gonna tell me to get up and go to church and she don't go? Like, I didn't even know what church was. I'm like, okay. So the church was in our neighborhood.
Okay.
So we could literally walk out of our door, go maybe 100 feet, and the church was right there.
Wow.
So the real reason, low-key, why I was like, okay, she said go, I'm going to go. It was this boy that I thought was a little cute. So I was like, okay, well, he go to that church over there.
They did
so
go to church too sometimes.
I'm going to go to the church. We got to the church. So that was, kind of my little, okay, well, I'm going to go. So we ended up going, and nobody knew us because we lived in the neighborhood, but everyone that went to that church kind of came from outside the neighborhood. So when we went to the church, it was kind of like, we came in there with Daisy Dukes on. If y'all know what the Daisy Dukes are from the 90s, we came in there with Daisy Dukes on.
My.
I mean, when I tell you, everybody was like, what in the world is coming up there with these Daisy Dukes on? We didn't know. That's what we did. But even though that was like the initial reaction, people showed us love. So we ended up finding a safe place at church because our home life was unsafe.
Wow.
It was a lot of things that we experienced at home that was unsafe, that was things that kids should never experience or see. So church became our safe place. So it was kind of like, even though initially when my mom made us get up and go, it was all part of God's plan. So from that point on, every time those doors opened, we were there. Wow. And people did not know that the reason that we came was because we felt safe. Wow. We knew that we would be protected. We knew that what was going on at home wasn't going to happen at church. So that's why we were always there. Wow. And even though the boys was, that, hey, sometimes sometimes things that draw you
will draw people.
Yeah,
like you seriously.
Yeah. And so from that point on is where I started to learn about God, and I started to learn about who I was, and that it was okay to be a believer and have hardship at home and not know what to do about it.
Wow.
Because as a kid, as a teenager, you don't know what to do when you go to church and it's one way and you come home to a totally different environment. So I'll pause right there.
My goodness. Yeah. Wow. Well, that all resonates with me very well as well. I grew up though on the west side, so.
Okay, well.
I mean, we here.
I love you.
Like,
hey,
Okay.
Oh, yes. Yes,
west side, the best side.
Uh-huh.
Right? So I grew up on the west side of Chicago, and my childhood growing up as well was a bit tumultuous, but like you say, when you're a child, you really don't even know. Yeah. It's life. It's what it is, and
right.
and it's happening around you, and even when you can't explain it and you can't seem to to fix anything. You have to keep living.
Right.
And that's how we grew up. It was very tumultuous for me as I look back. Growing up, my mom was a single mother as well. I'm the eldest of 4. And my family, my grandmother had 9 children, and we lost a lot of loved ones to murder. So when you say
Wow.
yours wasn't touched, and it didn't touch you, but it touched ours.
Wow.
So we went through quite a bit, growing up. But the thing that really sticks with me is my grandmother was a woman of faith, and that's all I ever remember, right? Was her being in church. There was about in time frame, my mother, same thing, didn't go to church, but she sent us with my grandmother. My grandmother brought us to church. And so when we were young, we went with her and had those experiences. And I had encounters with God that I didn't understand as a child, which I believe protected my mind and my heart, even though life was touching every other part, right? But lost a lot of things. My mother went through domestic violence, so I watched my mother being physically abused for much of my childhood until I was in my early teens, and that was traumatic for me. And then, not being able to see a future as to what life would be outside of what you saw,
Right.
In the environment. The only thing that I had at that point in place in life was faith. Was faith in this God that I had been hearing about and that I was experiencing. And it was the place that I would go to when I needed to cry.
Right.
I would be in my room. My mother would talk about me because I'm a crier. Everybody knows that. And I would go to my room. I cried when the boys broke up with me, right? I cried, right? When friends betrayed me, I would go in my room and cry and talk to God. Like that's what I would do. And so I always had that element, but didn't fully even know what it was. But by the time I ended up leaving home as a teenager, I joined the military and ran off and left. And then I started running amok and just living my life and doing all I thought I wanted to do. And until I ran out of myself. And then that's really when I found God. So I tell people, I grew up in church, that because you ask everybody, oh, I grew up in church. Everybody
I've been saved
grew up
all
in
my
church.
life. Just lying. Just lying.
Yes, and I'm going to tell you, I grew up in church. I had conversations and encounters with God, but I promise you I didn't know him until I met him. And that was at a point that now I'm glad I can actually say, at the point of wanting to commit suicide after, running and doing and trying to figure out life, because life was hectic. Oh my God. Every twist and turn, it was so much pain, watching other people in pain. It was a lot. And then when I ran out of myself, when I didn't have any more answers, I think that's what it was. I had no more answers for life, right? And what could be, what was possible.
Didn't know what to do.
Didn't know what to do. That was it. You run out of excuses, you run out of reasons, you run out of answers, and that's when you enter into this hopeless place. And that's where I found myself and wanting to commit suicide. But that's where I met Jesus for real at that point. And that's why I for these types of this show and why we're doing this is because I know that people get to that place. Life can be so hectic, can be so difficult, and be so hard. And when you are in that place, you don't need religious jargon.
No.
You don't need, all of the hooplas. Like, I can't
Rhymes
run
and quotes
around and jump and
all of
flip
that, yeah.
and feel better. After
Right.
it's not going to fix all of my
It's
problems
not.
after that. I
It's
can't
not.
just praise him and then be free.
You can't give an offering on it. You can't shout on it. No, it's real life.
can't.
And I think people, because we have have been so good at hiding things,
Yes.
that people feel ashamed when they go through things. And you're supposed to be a believer. You're supposed to
Yeah.
be a Christian. You're supposed to have this faith in God. Why are you going through this?
Yeah.
And nobody really talks about it and makes it normal.
Yes, because when you say that, because that's the exact thing. You feel embarrassed because you feel like
Embarrassed.
you're the only one,
Yeah.
right? Nobody else is going through this, or what did I do wrong? Like
Right.
something
What
is
did
wrong.
I do?
Yes.
This is my punishment.
It's-
Because we get taught that God gonna get you.
Yes.
You know, but that's not even who he is.
No.
And we feel, you know, shame and guilt, and we
Yeah.
don't want people to know about it.
Yeah.
And so I think that this show would definitely lend a voice to the people that feel silent, like they're, you know,
Right.
like they've been silenced, or their mouth is covered and they
Yeah.
can't speak. So,
Can't speak, and that is who we want to reach. We want to reach those individuals who feels that way and sometimes get stuck. And the thing is, it doesn't matter how long you've been
No.
in Christ, how long you've been saved. It doesn't matter who you are, what title, position,
Right.
you know, or anything. Like I've had bouts on this side of Christ,
Right.
That still makes you struggle, right?
well, most of mine have been.
Oh.
I mean, people, you know, it's just me, but I thought, you know, people used to say, when you get saved, you know, God gonna make everything all right. And I'm like, when everything wasn't all right, I'm like, wait. I missed something, because
Somebody done missed the scripture.
I wasn't supposed to be, you know, going through this stuff,
Yeah.
you know. So, but you'll understand
Yeah.
when your understanding gets enlightened and you start to really understand what this walk is all about.
Yeah.
You realize, wait a minute, I'm going to experience hardship like everybody else.
Like
Like everybody else.
Yeah, we are not exempt. And I
Right.
think, you know, for me, when I really reconcile that in my heart of hearts, that this is not some sense of sick punishment.
Right.
This is not because you're the worst person, you know,
Right.
in the world, or you don't deserve, you know, something better. This is just life.
Right.
And I think for me, I've seen too much of us teaching faith in theory, but not in reality,
Right.
not in true application.
Right.
But you know, it's something to know the scripture and the word, but not know it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And not be able to apply it in everyday life. And that's been, you know, part of my own journey in saying, okay, God, having that moment when I went through the divorce, like because we could talk about that. Let's talk about
yeah.
that on this side of Christ, like after being saved, after
Yeah.
preaching, right?
Yeah. Some of the most difficult things that you could ever face in life.
My goodness.
Go ahead, though. I want to hear
yeah,
this.
that was the
Yeah.
hardest. Like on this side, I've been through a lot, and still through the betrayals and you know, and different things. But going through that, through the divorce, when I went through that, like that was like I couldn't wrap my brain around how that happens.
Right.
When I'm trying to live right and trying to do right and trying to treat people right, and I'm trying to live, you know, this disciplined life, and now I'm struggling
Right.
in this place of trying to hold on to a marriage. I'm trying to believe what everybody said, like what
Right.
all the scriptures said, right? You know, in this, and wanting to believe that it was going to happen, praying about it, fasting about it, everything, and to still end up in the devastating
Yes.
divorce, and then turn around and say, okay, God,
Yeah.
how does this compute? Because it didn't
Don't
make sense. It
doesn't make sense. No. Same with me. Like, I think one of the most difficult things that I faced was infertility. And nobody talked about infertility.
Wow.
Ever in any circle, any church,
So true.
nobody talked about infertility. Nobody. It was kind of like taboo. Like, you know, you don't talk about this because all you have to do is believe God and put some oil on you, and you know, pray and say these scriptures, and you know, you're gonna get pregnant.
Yes.
And I mean, I was so desperate. I was doing everything that I could. And then when I had issues and had miscarriage after miscarriage and going through all of that, there was nobody that I could talk to. Nobody opened up and said, I've been through this. Here's what I did to get through it. Here's how you handle your emotions. Here's how you deal with the depression. Here's how nobody did that for me. So it was like I was searching.
Yeah.
And you can be in Christ, you can be in church and still have to search.
That's good. And I think that's exactly what, when you say that, because that's how I felt, same thing, you know, in the divorce, like, God, I'm searching for you.
Yes.
Like, I know you, but I'm searching for you. Some kind of way I feel a distance, some kind
Yeah.
of way. I feel apart, from you for whatever the reason might be. Let's talk about that
Well,
that gap, that
yeah,
distance.
I think some of it is what people say.
Ooh.
Some of it is how people talk to you and how people try to minister to you.
Wait, did you just do
Yes,
the,
I
You
did.
just did the
I
quotes.
sure did. And I meant it in the most sarcastic way
You
that I
did.
yes,
You
I
meant it
did.
because I felt it.
sure did.
I'm receiving you.
I wanted to be
I'm picking up
sarcastic.
what you're putting down.
Hopefully that
Okay.
sarcasm can come through the camera and just hit you in your spirit. So, yes, I think it is what people say because I had people say to me, well, maybe God just wants you to focus all your time in ministry. So you can't really have no kids right now because you got to serve us in ministry. These were pastors
Oh
saying
my
this type of
gosh.
stuff. And I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, the devil, like
Oh
how
my
you gonna tell
gosh.
somebody that like I'm broken, I'm crying, I'm
Yes.
depressed, I don't want to do anything, but you're gonna tell me that I'm supposed to serve in ministry right now,
Yeah.
so that's why I'm not, it's not my time to have a baby. Like, no, that just didn't sit right with me.
Wow.
And so people, I'm sure people were saying things to you
Yes.
that brings on different thoughts, different emotions. You're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, it makes it worse.
It
It's
does.
kind of I use the symbolism. I say, for me, going through the divorce was like getting hit by a Mack truck. Like that's the death. Like you feel it. Like and it's like an earthquake that hits. But in the earthquake, I tried to brace myself as much as possible because it's coming, and as much as possible I'm trying to brace myself, my family, everything for it. But what I wasn't prepared for was all of the aftershocks.
Yes.
I wasn't prepared for that at all.
And sometimes that's worse than
That's
the earthquake.
worse. I promise you,
It's
that's
worse.
what almost took, really,
Right.
almost took me out because it just kept taking my breath, just kept taking. I was like, this thing wants to kill me. Like, that's what it felt like. And I'm like, blow after blow, like you said, like getting the wrong gouge from people
Yeah.
saying the wrong things at the wrong time.
Just believe God. Maybe you ain't
Yeah.
have enough faith, or maybe what?
Yes.
Like and
Yes.
some of that stuff is just religious, jargon that
Yes.
people say because they heard somebody else say it.
Yeah.
But when you start to like learn and you realize, like, wait a minute, we can't just quote stuff and make up rhymes and poems. All the people that they, just the poems and the rhymes and the quote of the day and all that stuff. You can't just do that
No.
and think that that's going to get you through
Yeah.
life.
Yes.
Because real life happens.
Yes, it does.
And then you got to figure out, how do I go through this?
Yeah.
I'm telling you, a therapist is hey.
Please,
A
let's
therapist,
talk about
a
that.
psychiatrist, get you some medicine. Don't be walking around here talking to yourself. Don't do it. Don't do it. I'm telling you.
No, that is the truth.
I'm an advocate because
Yes.
we cannot, just tell people to believe God.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been believing God. Now
Yeah.
what else do I do? Because I'm still struggling.
Yeah.
What else do I do?
Yeah. Let's tell, like, what did you do? Like, in some of those bouts and turns, what did you do? Let's help somebody.
Initially, a lot of it was me, and this is strange for me. A lot of it was me thinking I did something wrong. It was. Because I was like, well, it's like, God, I waited until I got married. First, I went through that.
Yeah.
I wasn't sleeping around like all these other girls,
Yeah.
and I'm all self-righteous with it,
Right.
and doing all of that, and then it went to, what did I do wrong?
Yeah.
Like, did I mess up? Did I do something wrong? And then I remember one day when I was going through one of my crying, bouts and like crying and talking to God, I just really felt God say, "Do you trust me? Are you going to be okay even if you don't birth a child? Is that going to be the end? Like, are you going to be okay even if that doesn't happen?" And I had to come to the conclusion, you know what? I will be okay even if that didn't happen.
Wow.
Because that doesn't define who I am.
Yeah.
But the whole time, you grow up as a girl, I want to have babies and I want to,
Yeah.
my life is going to be perfect, but
Yeah.
nobody tells you that that's not really,
Yeah.
stuff don't pan out that way.
Yeah, there's
And
no-
so when I heard God say that, would you be okay even if that didn't happen? It brought so much peace to me. And I was like, well, you know what? I would have to be okay because I can't make it happen myself.
Wow.
And so it was like for 5 years, my focus was have a baby, have a baby. So that's all I was like focused on, that I'm gonna have a baby. I was going to doctors. Nobody knew what was wrong. And finally, when I had that peace, when God said, would you be okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm not lying. After I said yes and I stopped focusing on it, God started bringing people across my path who had the same symptoms that I had, the same, type of medical history and things like that,
Yeah.
to talk to me about that, because I'm thinking it's a faith thing. I'm thinking it's something spiritual.
Yeah.
The whole time, girl, it's something natural. Stop being
Man.
deep and and going in the third heavens and Ebo Shah and
Because
all that stuff.
we
Stop.
will travel. We will
Yeah.
go in the realms.
But you only know
We
what
will.
you're taught in the circle that you're in.
So true.
And if you are in a place where I was in my 20s, I was
Yes.
young, in that place where you're very impressionable and you listen to those that supposed to know better, but you find out you got a lot of, well, I can't call them a fool, but
Wait, but you just said it.
I just had
You
said
just
it.
said it out loud.
That had came out.
You had
Okay,
just
then.
said it.
Well, you got a lot of people who you think know better.
Yeah.
They just were, just
Yeah.
worst off as you.
Yeah.
They don't know any better.
Yeah.
And so it was something natural. And when I went to the doctor, first I educated myself. I was like, let me start looking and seeing what this could be. Educated myself, went to the doctor, 5 seconds, sat down in that office. He didn't do not one test on me. He said, this is what you have.
Wow.
This is what we're going to do to treat you. Now listen to this. Even though I got treated, I still had another miscarriage right after that.
Wow.
And at first it broke me. It broke me. But then I remembered. I was like, wait a minute. Wait, even if it don't happen like this,
Yeah.
I'm going to still be okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to be okay.
Yeah.
Had the one miscarriage. My doctor, he was a believer too. He was like, nope, we're going to stand. We're going to do we're going to do the medicine. We're going to let God do what he do. And we're going to see what happens.
My goodness.
And then after that, I got pregnant with my first daughter.
Wow.
Yep.
See, that is this show. What
Yeah.
you just described, what you just shared, like that really is this purpose, because that's life. That's real life, right? That's the life we're living. And sometimes we over spiritualize everything. We make everything about what we don't believe or what we don't. Instead of looking at there's sometimes a lot of natural things that we are just not aware of or not doing.
Exactly.
Right? That impacts our living in our life, and we just go putting a spiritual Band-Aid on it and never actually going to actually see. I tell people all the time, I've experienced stuff in battles and all of that where that I'm like, my goodness, this is trying to take me out, but I was unhealthy.
Yeah.
In my physical body, I was unhealthy.
Yep.
And a lot of times people will look at you and believe if you're not a certain weight or something, that means
you
you're
must-
healthy.
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I'm like, no, I was
Yeah.
so unhealthy and had so dynamics of how my body was not cooperating with that I was suffering through.
Yeah.
And here we are, and just casting out every devil. And it was like, if you don't go take them vitamins, though. Like, you can cast out what you want to cast out, but you
Exactly.
might need to go pop them pills and take that vitamin.
Exactly.
Right? Right? There are some things that we're experiencing. And just what you said, like, man, that was so powerful when you're talking about, when you said, God said, would you be okay if you didn't? Like, that's sobering, because we don't ask ourselves that question when it comes down to faith. Because we believe that God is supposed to answer
Whatever we ask.
every prayer.
Whatever we ask.
Whatever we
Because it's
ask.
according to his will, so I know you're going to do it. But what if it don't happen
What
that
if
way?
it don't happen?
What if it don't happen? Are you going to still be okay?
Man.
Would you end your life because that didn't happen? Or is there something else for you to live for?
Yeah.
And I was
Wow.
like, well, yeah, I'm not,
Wow.
I'm not going to check out because I don't,
Yes.
and it's kind of, the thing is that after I went through that, I met so many women
Wow.
in the church experiencing infertility. And talk to them like, listen, I've been through this, like so many similar stories, even like down to, I remember I went to one doctor. Oh my goodness, she was so mean. She was like, well, you're fat. You just need to lose some weight. And I'm like, did
Wow.
this lady just tell me, like, just like
Wow.
that, you fat, you need to lose some weight. But she never, like, took the time to figure out what
What's
was going
wrong?
on.
Yeah.
And so the doctor that was able to tell me what was going on, I figured out why I'm overweight, what's
Yeah.
happening, and it was all connected.
Wow.
And it was so, and not, and only, I think it was probably maybe about a month or so after I found out what was wrong, my sister had to experience the same thing, and
My goodness.
identical diagnoses, identical, and I'm
My
like, wow, this
goodness.
is, it's a look.
Yeah.
That twin stuff is real.
That twin stuff, girl.
It's real.
Look.
It's real. So it helped me and it helped her.
Wow. And
Yeah.
that's the key thing when you said it helps somebody. What you went through, your story,
Right.
was able to help somebody else. That's the beautiful thing about this life that we're in. It's like pay it forward.
Right.
What has been given to you, what we have learned, we can help somebody else with, and
Right.
all of our stories can. And that's really why we're doing this show, right?
Right.
That's why we're doing it, really in hopes that something that she or I want, that we may say, something that a guest, or something, or a host or something may say, our subjects and what we speak about, that these stories and this life that we talk about, and we are women of faith.
Yeah.
Right? We're women of faith. We believe God, right? We trust God, but we go through life. We live life like
That's right.
everyone else. And for me, I know my determination is to not let it take my breath away.
Right.
I am determined to live.
Right.
To live through it and to breathe through it and to live in the way that God wills for me to live, even when I don't get everything I want, right? And life doesn't go in the direction that I want it to go in.
Right.
I was that kind of individual. I'm a planner, and I used to plan my life like 10 years out. I promise you, I had planners, I had notebooks, I had my life mapped out at least 10 years in the future. I had it all set, and then every time I get it written down, then here comes something that just throws, and then I have to throw the whole notebook away. I throw the whole journal away. It's like, now this done just, I can't
Messed
cross
up
out
your whole-
everything. I'm constantly having to
Right.
cross out, mark out. I just started using pencil because I'm like, this don't ever stay the same.
Right. Right.
It doesn't work out
It doesn't.
the way you think or imagine, it to be, but it's life, and it's the one we've been given.
Right.
And so for me, I think after going through that bout with suicide, I was determined I was never going to let life take my breath away again, because that was what happened.
That's powerful.
Yeah.
That's good.
And that's me. So every time I get hit, I'm like, get up, girl.
Get up. Get you some fight.
That's right.
And get back in there and do
that
what you
is
gotta do.
it. And that's
Yep.
what we want to encourage everybody else in,
Yep.
right? So you can speak to them, tell them what with this and what you hope that you can bring.
I hope that people can see transparency from both of us.
Yeah.
I hope that people that are struggling with trying to figure out, how do I navigate life, especially during the time that we're in? How do I navigate life and not worry about, what people will think of me? Because I might struggle, or I might be weak, or I might, have doubts. And if anybody tells you that they haven't struggled with their faith right now during the pandemic, they are lying. Pastors, apostles, bishops, all of y'all. Don't lie and tell people that listen. And I can say it because I'm a pastor.
Come on.
So I can say it. I will not lie and tell people that I did not struggle
Man.
with my faith during this pandemic.
Yes.
It
Yes.
is something that is continuous, that we have to daily
Yes.
make a decision that I am going to trust and I am going to believe God.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my part. I'm not going to be out here,
Yes.
just, being reckless. I'm going to do my part, but I have to make a decision every day.
Every day.
For my own mental health,
Yes.
for my own emotions. And I think that this show will kind of shed light on seeing people who are imperfect
Yes.
navigate through life with a perfect God.
Come on. Did you just rhyme?
Girl, that was
Girl, you
fresh
just
off
said-
the
you just
press.
did that.
They're not ready.
You
They're not
did
ready.
that.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. and we're gonna have fun while we're doing
Yes,
it, right?
we
Right.
are.
That's
So if
what
y'all
this is about.
listen, if you don't want to laugh, if you don't want to
Yeah.
have a light mood and all that good stuff,
Yeah.
you might want to get yourself together
Yes,
so
come
that you
on.
can enjoy.
Yes, because that's what life is about.
Yes.
Right? It's about smiling, it's about enjoying it, and that's what we want to bring. And we plan to look good while we do it.
Yes, we do.
Come on, because you was doing it. You was doing
Don't
it.
my sis look good?
Look.
Yes. Don't listen. Let me just say this.
Come. I feel
If
it.
you are walking around,
Mm.
I'm gonna try to be nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you are walking around looking like somebody's great grandma and you are 20, listen, you are still saved if you put on some cute clothes,
Come on.
some clothes that fit,
Come on.
uh-huh, and a hairstyle that is up to date.
Well.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not gonna mess with y'all with the makeup because but Tamara, some of us need it. Yes,
Come
we do.
on.
And
help the people.
yeah,
Help the people.
it's good to look good.
It's good.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, it's been an amazing conversation.
It has.
Right? And I'm really excited, and I hope that you have heard from our heart. I hope that you feel that you've gotten to know us a little bit better, that you feel a sense of trust, with us. This is a no judgment zone, right? We want it to be a safe place that we can have the conversations about real everyday life. Like you said, we have to choose faith every day, and it really is a daily decision. It's a daily decision, and that's what we want to, talk about while we are doing this show, is to help you with your daily decisions. You may watch it on whatever day of the week, and not just on a Sunday morning, but every single day of the week. We want to give you strength. We want to encourage you to choose faith every single day, because as you can see, through the struggles and things of life that you have gone through, that I have gone through, we're still here.
Still here?
Still believe.
Yep.
Right? Still trust God, and know that even in the midst of that, He didn't leave us.
That's right.
He didn't leave us. He was still up close and personal with us, and it is life for us to be able to hold on to that faith, because I don't know what I would have done if I didn't have Him.
Right.
In those moments and in those times. So like they used to say in the old saints used to say, He never promised you, right, that everything would be perfect and everything would be well, but He did promise us that He would never leave us. And that's what we hold on to every single day, that today I wake up again realizing that you're still here.
That's right.
And I'm still here.
That's
So
right.
we're looking forward to what's coming up, and we are excited to talk about the future and to join you next time. So come back and see us again for the next episode, where we're going to keep going more and more and keep reaching you and encouraging you to live. God bless you.
God bless.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Life Talk. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Click the bell to be notified when the next episode airs, so you never miss a show. And don't forget to follow me on all my social media platforms so we can stay connected. Until next time, stay in faith.